I think.
Yeah, we always talk about giving a manager time. You try and say that for most managers who go into any club, but you can't keep losing football matches either. And I could say that for most clubs. If you're losing week in, week out, there'll be doubts in the dressing room. I always try and get in the players' mindset. They'll be looking at the manager and they'll be saying, what are you bringing to the party? And when there's literally been no reaction to him come into the club, well, that's not a good sign either. But the standards have been dropping at the club for a number of years. And have they reached rock bottom? Maybe there's a bit to go yet.
15th right now, Manchester United, 15th in the table.
We'll get back to Keane and Nev in just a quick second, but remember, if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. And don't forget to click the notification button so that you know when the next Big D video hits. And also, as always, you know what to do. If something's bubbling up inside of you that you need to express, please put it in the comments. The Big D reads all of the comments. Anyway, in this little clip, this is going to be the Brain Trust, which is Gary Neville, Roy Keane, Paul Merson and Jamie Carragher. No, it's not Jamie Carragher, it's Jamie Redknapp. The Big D gets confused sometimes because they all say the same bloody things constantly. Anyway, they're going to be talking about Manchester, the current state of Manchester United, and this is a clip right before the Arsenal game. Now, this video is coming out after the Arsenal game, but the Big D is going to be talking about that in the next couple of videos anyway, because the Big D's on the road at the moment. He was at the Arsenal game and he knows the score, and he's making this video after the game. But I just want to talk about this particular clip first. But anyway, here they are, the Brain Trust. They're talking about the current state of Man United. Stick around for after the clip because the Big D is going to give his thoughts on what's going on.
Huge struggles on and off the pitch. Morale, confidence must be pretty low. Arsenal coming to town. Yeah, it's going to be a tough afternoon, but United certainly need a spirit performance. But you'd have to fancy Arsenal.
What should the target be for United with 11 games to go?
Win as many games as they can. It's as simple
It's
as
the
that.
obvious one.
Again, it's been well documented, the problems. There's been no real reaction to the new manager coming in. Results haven't been great. A few injuries. They don't look like they've got many goals in them. Not great at set pieces. They don't look very dynamic. Still not convinced with the goalkeeper. We keep discussing this every time we focus on United. So many problems, but they have to try and get some belief, confidence back into the group, find something from within the dressing room. We keep talking about what's going on around the club, find a spirited performance, a little bit of luck, and they might get a result. But again, if Arsenal turn up and they're at their best, you'd have to fancy them.
Gary, if you were the most optimistic Manchester United fan in the room, and I'm not sure that you are, what would you have to cling on to right now?
For this season, or
And the future?
I mean, you'd hang on the hope that maybe the manager needs a pre-season, that he needs more recruitment. You'd think about the fact that he's really struggled since he's come in. You'd maybe think about... I'm struggling at the moment. I have to say, I think what's happened over the last 10 years that the club is coming home to roost right now at this moment in time. The fans are angry. They're going to process today. I think that when you see that Manchester United have gone from the richest football club, well, in the world, to not being able to feed their own staff, that is a massive demise. And what's hitting now on the pitch is hitting off the pitch as well. The debt, the poor recruitment, the lack of ability to find the performance, and now the 15th in the league, which I never thought I'd see Manchester United 15th in the league in March. So there's not a lot to look upon other than the fact that the manager does retain an element of optimism, and you hope that he can be supported and get it right for next season. But this season's a bit of a write-off.
I tried to be positive. It's not gone very well. Let's have a look at what it looked like before Ruben Amorim compared to what it has been since his time in charge. Just as a basic look at some statistics, Jamie, their points per game has dropped, their goals per game has gone up, but you can see the goals conceded has also climbed. One thing I suppose is a slight surprise. He did talk about how hard he wanted his teams to work before he came in, but pressures per 90 minutes are down, and so too are the sprints. In what ways do you think he has done well?
Well, it's difficult to say has he done well. Roy said it, it's not a dynamic team, so you can't all of a sudden expect them to turn into incredible athletes that are going to get box to box and start to change that. I think he will. What I do like about him is his honesty. He's under no illusions. I think there's been other managers that have almost been delusional to a certain extent, where they come out after games when they were popped off the pitch, they couldn't get near anybody, the performance was bad, the score was bad, and they said, you know what, we've actually done all right today. No, you haven't. You were poor. And I think he knows that. He knows his squad isn't good enough. It's going to take a lot of time. I think his honesty is there. is there any performances or anything really, if you're a Manchester United fan, to clean on and say, yeah, we are going to get better here? Absolutely not right now. But I still think you have to give this manager time. I think it'd be ludicrous to get rid of him now. I think he needs a little bit of time. On the positive, they could still win the Europa League and get Champions League football. And there's not that many good teams in that competition. That is a possibility. Could you see him doing it right now? It's hard to guess with the way that they're playing. But I think he certainly needs more time. That's for
I
sure.
just grabbed the programme, Jamie, because you made a point that he's actually made again in his programme notes today, Ruben Amorim. He's almost doubled down on this point about needing time and needing patience, but he says we have a clear aim to get back to a world where we're competing at the top end of the Premier League while being honest about where we are today. So he doesn't seem like he's under
Roy
any
and I
kind
did
of
the
illusion.
Ipswich game, and we both said after the game, if they'd have gone on a run of winning 6-7 games, it might have just papered over so many cracks. At least you know now what you have to do, and the squad is going to take a lot of time. Gary said the recruitment's been so poor for many years now. That has to change.
He said as well this week, Paul, that he wants the time, and he's not sure he'll be afforded the same time that Mikel Arteta has been at Arsenal. Do you think this is a more pressurised job here at Manchester United?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. I mean, this is one of the biggest clubs in the world. It's not the biggest team in the world, but they are still one of the biggest clubs in the world. So, yeah, the pressure here is like no other. It's not, Arsenal's a big club, don't get me wrong, but nothing's like Man United in England, in my opinion. So the pressure is on. I hope he gets time. There's a lot to be done, though. It's not like before where the fair play rules come in now. You can't go and buy Tom, Dick and Harry. Do you know what I mean? You've got to be careful what you do. And I think Man United are in a situation now like the lad they bought, the fullback from Lecce. They're in that market where it's going to be a heads or tails whether they're going to be a good player or not a good player, because it's not the we don't know until they get to the Premier League. So for me, it's going to take a long time. I think, and I mean a long time. I don't think he'll be here when it's changed, because I think it'll be 5, 6, 7, 8 years' time, I think.
Yeah, we always talk about giving a manager time. You try and say that for most managers will go into any club, but you can't keep losing football matches either. And I could say that for most clubs. If you're losing week in, week out, there'll be doubts in the dressing room. I always try and get in the players' mindset. They'll be looking at the manager and they'll be saying, what are you bringing to the party? And when there's literally been no reaction to him come into the club, well, that's not a good sign either. But the standards have been dropping at the club for a number of years. And have they reached rock bottom? Maybe there's a bit to go yet.
15th right now, Manchester United, 15th in the table.
I always feel as though a lot of people in football, fans included, they've got a very, very short memory. And football, in and of itself, it's a very emotional sport. There's not a lot of logical thinking in the sport, which does frustrate the Big D from time to time. I mean, Roy Keane just mentioned there that standards at the club have been dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping. Well, I mean, yeah, compared to Sir Alex Ferguson, but Sir Alex Ferguson is probably the greatest manager of all time. So it doesn't matter who steps in, the standards are going to drop. So, something is only something in comparison with something else. So, if you put Carlo Ancelotti in charge of Manchester United, his standards will probably drop as well compared to Alex Ferguson, But people forget, in the 10 years since Alex Ferguson, we've still won, 2 FA Cups, a couple of League Cups, a Europa League, and we've finished top 4 on, 4 occasions, 5 occasions? Finished top 4 under Van Gaal. We finished top 4 under Jose. We finished top 4 under Ollie twice. And we finished top 4 under Eric Ten Hag. So we finished top 4. And we finished second twice as well. So, I mean, standards, yeah, by Manchester United standards, but by any other club, this past 10 years or so has actually been all right. I mean, it's been dire this season. I mean, and I agree with what they mentioned there, that this season is a write-off, an absolute write-off. And they haven't got the recruitment right. They haven't got the recruitment right. Because, I mean, over the past 10 years, who can you say has been an absolute bona fide top draw signing consistently over a long period of time? Bruno? Probably Bruno, really. which is ironic really, because Roy Keane's sitting on that panel there, and he absolutely rinsed Bruno Fernandes last week, which was completely uncalled for. But I still feel as though people have got short memories in football, because Man United deserve a little bit more credit. Anyway, I mean, in terms of what's going on at Manchester United now, I've said this before, we have actually got some talent in that team, and it just needs a couple of astute signings. I would say 3, and that team shoots up the table. Paul Merson's an interesting character, because sometimes when he talks, he starts talking, he opens his mouth and words come out, and he actually makes sense at first, but the more he starts talking, the more it's like, oh, here we go, you know. And he mentioned there about Dorgu. Young lad, he's just signed from Lecce, and he's saying, yeah, well, you know, this is the kind of thing that Manchester United are at the moment. You know, they're buying Dorgu from Lecce, and, you know, that's where Manchester United are at now. It's like, Dorgu's a good player. He's played about 3 games, and he's already made a massive difference, tactically speaking. And what people seem to forget is that in today's game, it's not about personalities. Roy Keane talks about personalities a lot, but the game's moved on from Roy Keane. The game moved on from Roy Keane while he was still playing. But everything's about tactics now. So Patrick Dorgu has actually been a really good signing. Tactically, he's exactly what we needed. And he's exactly what we need right now, which is a left back. We haven't had a left back all season until we signed him. And when he has played, the team's had more balance. He bombs up and down that left flank, no bother. It allows Dallo to concentrate on being a right wing back. They both whip balls in, and Dorgu seems to have a good left foot there, as well as being an absolute stunning athlete. So I don't know. I just feel as though the brain trust, are not using the asset that is needed specifically for the job that they've got, which is the brain. But then again, you know, the Big D, one of the Big D's faults is he expects too much sometimes of people, and too much from people who might not have enough to give at times. But yeah, I mean, things are bad at the moment, and I do agree with Gary in this instance. This season has been a write-off. He needs a pre-season. He needs a couple of signings in the summer, and hopefully they are astute signings. And if he's able to do that, then we might see a different dynamic come the start of next season. But we'll see. And I like the positive comment from Jimmy Redknapp when he says that, yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of great teams in the Europa League, so it's up for grabs. So if United can just if Manchester United play every game in the Europa League with the same intensity that they played against Liverpool in the league a few weeks back, then they'll win the Europa League, Manchester United. They will. Because we were fantastic against Liverpool that day. So if we're able to do that, which is one game every so often until the end of the season, which could be done, then Manchester United are laughing. And then we get in the Champions League, and then that allows us to attract more players and higher calibre players, and then, you know, the team can kick on. I don't buy this doom and gloom, this financial doom and gloom at Manchester United in any way, shape or form. I mean, Gary Neville saying Manchester United can't afford to feed their staff. That's a ridiculous comment. It's not that Manchester United can't afford to pay to feed their staff. What Ratcliffe is doing is just being a businessman, and he's just cutting costs. He's trying to streamline his business. That's all he's doing. Of course Manchester United can afford to pay their staff. So for him to say that, I think it's not it's not a good quote. It's not a good statement to make, and I find it misleading. Because Gary Neville's a businessman. What you're telling me, he doesn't cut costs in any way that he can in his businesses? Of course he does. So yeah, I thought that was a bit disingenuous. Anyway, but what do you guys think? Do you think the future's bright for Manchester United? Let the Big D know. You know what to do. Put it in the comments. And the Big D will see you in the next one.